I just came from teaching pickleball, so I'm a little athletic today. I apologize. I don't know why I'm apologizing. It does like that matters at all to anything, but okay. So here we are. I guess this is sort of an important moment. This is kind of our first sort of, I'm not sure whether to call it a webinar, class, whatever, inside this sort of new structure. Um, and so we're just going to jump into it. I don't think there's any much fanfare to be had, right? We're going to, I'm going to share my screen and we're just going to jump right to this. Give me 1 second. Because today we're talking about marketing, which I think just from um, the end of our last kind of workshop into this, I think we've sort of seen that everybody has kind of what's the best way to say it? Um, an issue, an issue, one or many with marketing. Actually, I'm going to try to do one thing here. So, nah, I'll skip it. Okay, here we go. So let's just share this. Okay. This is our marketing 101 presentation, and we'll have time toward the end for questions as we always do. Um, does anybody have a question before we start? One. And two, does anybody have anything they want to say before we start? Any important realizations or anything they got just from the last week or couple of days that they feel like they're just bursting to share?
Real quick, actually, my good man.
Yes.
Um,
Sure.
all the work we do, which is so incredible, that our coaching stuff that you and I do, marketing has been sort of like my prayer and meditation is so strong. And
Yeah.
marketing was gonna be, I just wanted to kind of be like, yeah, is that because like I'm feeling called to do this stuff now. Like I can't wait to start marketing now. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
want to share that with you. And maybe that's a one-on-one thing when you and I do that,
No,
but
I think it's a good thing. I mean, I think part of this will be what's appropriate for you right now. And I think for everyone, we want to come out with a plan. So for you, Raj, because we're gonna what I've seen just in the last couple of days and all our interacting, um, and I said this yesterday, Raj, and you were on the call, like everybody getting clear about kind of what their purpose is, sort of out without holding on to it too tight. And for those of us who are like you and I, Raj, who know all too well what our purpose is and what our purpose should be, that's actually not any better than being on the other spectrum of not knowing what our purpose is, right? Because both of those things prevent us from connecting to our deep inner wisdom. So it's going to be a lot of work in a couple of weeks of really connecting to what it is that we value. Um, and then there's going to be a bunch of work on how to listen to that intuition. And there's going to be a bunch of work about how to sort of talk to yourself. But there's going to be a lot of focus on how to build healthy practices. And that's really kind of what this workshop is about. How do I build a healthy practice? And so for you right now, it may not be to go gung ho. It may be like, but what is your plan? Like, what is your plan right now? And so everybody, what I want everybody to do today is, just relax and not be tense and worried about this. Um, but know that we're going to find something that fits you and fits well for right now, because it doesn't matter where you're at, which you'll see. So we'll just jump in and we'll do this thing because this kind of speaks for itself.
okay,
Okay.
can I share it? Oh, sorry. I'll say
Yeah,
one
yeah.
thing. Sorry.
Gosh
Just because it's
darn
so
it.
awesome. The Oscars were on last night. Sorry, I don't want to take up but the Oscars were on last night, and I saw a lot of um the people who are winning and the people who like I'm like, holy shnikes. These they market themselves. Like I was like, I've been doing this for 20, I mean, I've been in entertainment for 20 years, and I was like, so I just love that we're doing this. I just want to share that when you asked about our thoughts this whole week, I'm
No,
like,
that's great.
oh,
That's great. And that
but
fits very well actually into this because um uh, as you will see, um that's part of one of the themes of today. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, shall we? All right. Um Okay, so our goal here is to develop a healthy relationship with marketing that empowers you rather than defeats you. Most people, it seems like in our group, especially when we think of marketing, it fills us with a certain sense of dread and fear, right? Okay. So we want to start to change that relationship. So, number one, we want you to start to be gentle with yourself about this. And again, this comes into the larger theme of how to create habits that actually work for you. And so one of the, and I'm going to do a workshop specifically on creating habits so that we can all start creating habits and then we can use the group to support us in those habits. And maybe Raj, remind me at the end to have you just talk about the power of consistency, because you're someone who's actively doing what it is we're talking about. Yeah. So the most important thing, and I have like an 8-step thing about how to build lifelong habits. But the first one is lower the bar. Lower the bar. If you want to meditate and your goal is to meditate for 10 minutes every day, what most people do is they say, okay, I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes a day every day. And it's like, guess what? You're not. You're going to meditate every day for 2 days. And then you're going to meditate for 3 minutes the third day. And then the fourth day, you're not going to meditate at all. That's generally how it's going to go. So, because the bar is too high, you have to choose a level that you know you can show up for every day. So if you want to meditate for 10 minutes, great. Meditate for 1 minute. And if 1 minute you can't do it, then you back it up and you meditate for 30 seconds a day. Who can't meditate for 30 seconds? And if that doesn't work, and you back it up and you meditate for 10 seconds a day. Anybody can meditate for 10 seconds a day because it's more important to build the structure of doing it than it is to have a big number and a high number. Because if you can meditate for 30 seconds, a day for 90 days, guess what? You're ready to meditate for a minute for the next 30 days and probably for 5 minutes after that because you're used to sitting down and getting yourself ready. And that's why, Odelia, that what was so great about what you did is you got out the door. You got out the door and look at how much you did beyond just getting out the door. If you set your bar at getting out the door, everything else you do is gravy. Then on a day where you're not feeling it, you get out the door, you walk to the mailbox, you come back, you get your mail, you're still a success. And that's the other part of this. Set yourself up for success. So when it comes to marketing, I want you guys to start thinking, we're going to create a plan. But you can just keep walking it backwards. And I'll give you some basics as we go about like how to actually do that practically. But let's look at the next piece here. Okay, so reframe marketing. I want you to redefine marketing for yourself. Somebody define marketing for me. How do you think about marketing? Anybody, just shout it out.
Putting yourself out there.
Putting yourself out there. Great.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, she stole yours.
I would add, well, I was just gonna say selling yourself.
Say that again.
Selling yourself.
Selling yourself, right? That was the one that came to my head, selling yourself.
I was going to
all of
say
those-
putting yourself out there in a way that makes you look good and,
Okay.
and desirable, which is
Fair enough.
what Raj is saying, I think.
Fair enough. But all of those, again, when we think about it that way, that's how we think about it. But notice that we also feel fear about that. Putting yourself out there, scary. Selling yourself, scary. Selling yourself and making yourself look good, scary. I want you to redefine and reframe marketing for yourself as simply connecting with others. Because we can all do that, can't we? There may be some challenge in that, but the bar is lowered. Everything we're doing is lowering the bar so that we can get started and do something, because the bar is so high that we can't do anything. Started doing a push-up regimen, right? Because my exercise has been pretty good because I've been playing so much pickleball. But in terms of weight training, I have this block and this barrier, and I've tried so many times, but I've never applied this. So I said, okay, I'm going to do push-ups, and I've been doing one a day now for like 2 weeks, right? One a day, and you just go, what are you doing? What a waste of time. One push-up, what is that going to do? Well, now it's kind of 3 push-ups, but I'm not pushing up. Now, if you think of 3, even if I just did 3 push-ups and I didn't progress beyond that, right? If I did 3 push-ups a day for the next 30 years, would there be a difference in my physiology? Absolutely. I'm going to have a lot better posture. I'm going to be a lot stronger at 85 or whatever it is than I otherwise would be. But the chances are it's not going to stop at 3 push-ups, is it? But I started with 1, and the voices in my head are telling me, don't do it. You know what I mean? It's like, so that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with the resistance when you're starting to try to build new habits. So I want you to think about anytime you're connecting with another person, right? This is your marketing. And I don't want that to sour this connection. You're just connecting. And there's going to come a point in the conversation where, unless this person is super douchey, which does happen, and they're not going to ask about you at all, you know, that happens sometimes, especially if you have the habit of attracting that kind of person, right? But generally, someone's going to say, what are you up to? Right? And we'll get to that. We'll get to how to deal with that question. The next thing I want you to do, right? So this is an action step, is I want you to make a list. This is very simple. Next week, we're going to go beyond this, but next, just make a list of 10 people that you could call to connect with. Not even to try to get a job from, just to connect with. Just to say, hey, how are you? Because for some of you, this is where your marketing is going to start. It's going to be too much to have any kind of agenda for you. You're just going to call and say, hey, what's up? Now, what's great about that is you might be reestablishing some connections, right? And then if you end up calling them in 3 weeks, it's not going to be just straight out of the blue, right? You're going to have already talked to them. So just calling them, that's a good one. And then, so what I recommend is you just have a list on your phone of people that are contacts for you. And we'll up level this. Once we start getting into marketing proper, there's a way of tracking and saying, you know, like just having a little calendar where I said, I called Fred on the 10th. This is what we talked about. You know what I mean? Next time I call him, I want to recommend this or say this, right? But that's that's marketing 201. Okay. Right. That's like legit marketing. This is marketing 101. And we can have all the marketing theories and stuff that we want, right? So we're not as focused on the marketing theories and all of that. We're focused on how can you actually start to do it and actually start to make it happen. Because I promise you, and some of you've already seen, that when you put energy out into the world, it starts to create more energy. And that's what we want. And we want to keep that energy going. And we want to build on it slowly. And what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to try to do too much and self-defeat. I don't want you to self-sabotage yourself. I'd rather have you do a little less on any given day and still have some energy left in the tank and be looking forward to the process tomorrow than trying to do too much. So like for me, doing the push-up a day right now, okay, I'm up to 3, whatever. On any given day, sometimes I just do 1 just to let myself know that it's okay to just do 1. If I start putting pressure on myself, it's going to start to feel like a lot. So I have to know that I can always just do what I said a success is. So if you say, you know, for some of you, posting on the group could be a good way to start. I see a lot of people are scared, you know what I mean? That's a good, and if that's too much, just responding to other people's comments, right? If that's where you have to start. So it scales, but you have to start somewhere. And everybody's at a different level with this. So some people are going to start with, like Wendy, you've been making a lot of, you know, marketing calls, right? So that's a lot of energy. So you might start different than somebody else. It just depends on where you're at. And there's no judgment around that, because the only thing that matters is that you know what you're doing and that you're doing it and that you haven't made it so hard that you can't show up for it. Okay. So next is know what to say. And this is going to require a little homework. And this is a great thing for our group, for you to go out and practice with one another, right? And say, okay, guys, when I get on the phone, I think this is what I want to say to people. When they say, what are you up to? What's going on with you? So we just want to start crafting that. And this is such an important piece, how you talk about yourself, that on Friday, we're doing a whole workshop devoted just to this. Okay, but in the meantime, even this week, you want to just start to have an answer if you're going to reach out to people, and you guys can test your sentences, your little 1-sentence elevator pitches on each other, right? So for Angie, you might say, you know, like what you said today in one of your posts, you said, you know, I'm looking for work that gives me more freedom, et cetera, you know, in terms of schedule and like that. That's a perfect little one sentence thing. And then, you know, you might also add something along the lines of, you know, it's really important to me who I connect with, you know, who I work with. I want to work with people who have a positive or a higher vibration. You see what I'm saying? So already you're starting to craft and say, what is it that I want? And so my presentation is not going to take too long. So you all have a chance to ask your individual questions so we can start to shape your individual plan. Okay. But start to have an answer for this, right? Start to anticipate that with anybody you're going to call, that you're not going to push them or try to sell them or anything like that, right? We don't want you to think about trying to sell yourself, right? You're trying to connect with them and you're trying to make authentic connections. And part of being authentic is you're sharing what's going on with you. So you might say, hey, I'm looking for work. I'm open to any work I can get, but what I'd really like to get is this. That's what would really feel nice to me. And that's not being salesy or anything. It's just saying what's happening for you. It's just what you're up to, right? So I want you to start crafting that. And, you know, I think our boards is the great place to do that, to test it out and make sure and go, yeah, if I say this, because as we go and as we start and you're, you know, like I'm a big fan, and maybe you guys won't get to this or you will, but I'm a big fan of just going to like LA 411 or the directory and just like opening that up and just cold calling people. Now, believe me, I was not a fan of that when I started, right? But now it's just like, because I understand that it's not about that call going successful. It's about the fact that that's a scary action. To call somebody out of the blue, that's scary as hell. But it has it's almost like the scarier it is, the more power it has in it, if that makes any sense. And so that's a great action for me because I know something's going to come from that. Probably not this guy. This guy's going to be like, whatever, we have everybody we need. See you later. It doesn't matter to me. So that's part of success is not the results that you have. It's what is your plan? Did you show up for your plan? The success is you doing your thing. That's Raj and I talk, I think, a fair amount about if you want to be a champion, right, you have to think like a champion. And you don't start thinking like a champion on the day that you become a champion. You start thinking about like a champion 10 years before you're actually a champion. So you need to develop that way of thinking about these things. And for me, with marketing, it's like, I don't care if I fail. Yeah, it's scary. It's still scary just to, you know, dial for dollars, so to speak, right? But it's also extremely empowering. And that's one of my wishes for you as we get into this, that you guys start to feel the power, how good it feels to put yourself out there. It actually feels great. I guess it's almost an adrenaline rush, right? But not quite that high, right? So you want to start to develop your answer for what's going on with you. We might have some time to do that today. Okay, next is grow slowly, right? This growing too fast is bad. So it's like you want to work your way up to 3 marketing calls. Once you get to 3 marketing calls and you're doing that every day, what's going to happen? It's just like the push-ups thing. You know, on a day, you're going to be like, I'm on a roll, and you're going to do 7. And Natasha, who most of you know, she got to a point where she was doing 10 a day. And once you're doing 10 marketing actions a day, your success is essentially guaranteed. It's literally just a matter of time. Does that make sense? Right. So the issue is if we're not seeing that change in the world and the results, it's just because we haven't yet put enough of who we really are out into the world. That's the essential equation. Right. And so that's what we're working up to, but you don't have to do it all at once. All you have to do is your piece. That's it. And it will grow. So grow slowly. Okay. And lastly, create a plan. So it might be, and I wouldn't recommend for most of you, it depends on where you're at in the cycle, that you would try to do more than 1 a day to start. I'd rather see, you know, I know we had our workshop, right? We talked about 3 marketing calls a day and all that. That was the Roto-Rooter. If you absolutely have to heal from under earning in 90 days, you know, and that's kind of where I was. I had absolutely had it. And I was going to get rid of this disease no matter what. And it was extraordinarily uncomfortable. So I don't know if I recommend it, because today I recommend much more building your happiness as you build your success and build your wealth. That's a big part of what this group is about, is I'm making sure that I'm getting happier every day as I'm also putting myself out in the world and as I'm getting more money. And I think the goal is I spend enough time, not too much time, expressing who I really am, and I get well compensated for it. It almost seems like there's a little formula there that could be really good as like what the sort of mission statement is, because I don't want you guys to get crazy, going nuts, trying, it's just like that's what happened for me. I went crazy making it, I made a bunch of money, but I was not sane or happy. So I don't really want that for you. I don't really want you to have to get unhappy and then figure out it doesn't make you unhappy. I'd rather just have you guys build and express yourselves in the world as you're getting happy. That's my wish for you. So what is your plan? I've been thinking about you a lot, Wendy, in terms of like what could your plan be? And you're talking about it takes a good amount of time, right, to call somebody, because I'm guessing you're doing query letters. And so I don't know if you have to do research on a specific publishing company. I almost think that for you, just to build the consistency is one day you do the research and the next day you do the call or the query letter, right? Just so because you're putting that's a significant amount of time, right?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
researching agents. You can't hit the publishers until you have an agent.
Right. Okay. But
But
whatever. So if it's too much, right, and it's too big an ask and it's too hard to do every day, you're probably trying to do too much. So if you cut that in half, the thing is you have to just kind of ask yourself honestly, am I really showing up for this? Am I really putting myself out there at the level I feel comfortable, or am I hiding? That's the thing that we want to do. We want to avoid. We want to avoid hiding. Now, there's still going to be plenty of hiding going on. That's why we're working at creating a plan together so that you can verify with others. It's like, like I think it wasn't at Tom on the group the other day. No, it was Shayna. It's like, okay, here's this job. It's a good chance that job is a little bit of a hiding out kind of job and not you shining, right? But we'll see. And you have a whole group here to say like, I don't know, Shayna. Maybe. But you're going to go and talk to them. You're going to find out, right? So we have to be honest with about ourselves. Are we hiding? Like my sponsee that I think you guys all heard the story of, spending 6 hours a day on monster.com sending out resumes. Waste of time, waste of energy. That's to make it look like you're trying to get a job, but really you're not trying to do anything. 3 marketing calls and go to the beach by 10 a.m. and your day is done. That's the way you do it. Because it goes 3 marketing calls, that's heavy lifting. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I gotta do that. And then I get the rest of the day off. You get reward, you know what I mean? Like reward yourself. Okay, so we're going to create a plan, and that's going to be the focus after this. But I just want to hit you with a couple of things here. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. Arthur Ashe, tennis legend, first African American to win Wimbledon, right? Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can do. Brings tears to my eyes because that's our model. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can do. And the use what you have is you. In our case, right? Okay, and then there's a bonus. Celebrate every victory, big or small. So like Odelia, like I was happy, very happy to celebrate you today getting out there. And I celebrated you much more than you celebrated you. I want everybody to get in the habit of celebrating themselves. And I want everybody to get in the habit of celebrating, posting about it. It's like, hey, I did this so that everybody else can celebrate you too. Everybody else can celebrate every little step. So like, not only did you post about getting out the door, but you posted, this is my first post. That's cause for celebration. It all is. It really is. Like for real. Oh, you guys can't even see me. Next time I got to have the little circle. I'm just like shouting here behind this wall. Okay, but that's kind of the end of our presentation. And then,
We do see you.
oh, you do?
Yeah.
Now you
Yes.
see. Okay. And you saw the presentation? Okay, I'm not sure how that
Yes.
happened, but good.
Both.
I'll have that worked out for next time, so it works properly. Okay, and then this will be available for replay in the classroom, right, on school. And then also this little presentation here, just to remind you, to help give you a little bit of structure, the PDF will be up there as well. So you can just, I'll create this as a PDF and you'll download it just so that you can, keep track. And so this is very much a let's just get started and keep the focus on being as gentle as possible. So let's spend some time, sort of each of you talking about your unique situation, because each one is unique. and seeing what fits right for you and seeing if you can come up with something that you feel good about, that you feel is sustainable, right? That you can just start to doing, even if you consider it like limping along, right? If you limp along for the next, whatever, 10, 15, 20 days, at a certain point, we're going to do a marketing challenge. And I'd like to actually hear from you all about the best way to structure that. I was going to do like next week, I was going to do a 5-day marketing challenge, which was going to be creating a bigger list of people, really writing up your kind of who you are and what you're about and what you want, which is going to take a bit of work. And so there'd be a workshop every day to sort of get you up to speed to where you're really ready to start marketing yourself, talking about it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But who would like to go first and just talk about their unique situation, and let's start creating a plan for you?
I'd love to.
All right, man, let's go.
Which is
Let's
so,
go.
let's go, dude. Okay, which is I just rewatched the Tom Brady Man in the Arena documentary, by the way. Anyway,
Hmm.
is this is not hilarious. I was gonna say hilarious. As I've been so consistent with my prayer and meditation, my inner being, my higher power and connection, Evan, was, and for the group, was literally like, I want to start taking action. Like, meaning like it like it just started to come out of me, right? Like it was,
Yeah.
and this is hilarious. This is hilarious. I was a marketing major in college.
Oh.
Okay. And as a creative director, I help brands. You and I are the same, Evan. Like, so
Yeah, I'm going to do a
directors,
branding workshop at some point.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm saying my name only in, I don't like talking to the person, but like, and Evan and I talk about it, like, how do you create the Raj Reddy brand, or for all of you doing your own thing? And like, I do that with clients. And it's funny though, I didn't do it with myself. And I
Right.
love I love that you're even doing this, because as you were speaking, my spirit was like, this is beautiful. So just wanted to let you know that, share that right away.
Yeah.
But what happens is, I'm actually, this is going to sound, I am, I love marketing. Like, I like reaching out to people. I'm an extrovert.
Yeah.
What's happening though, for years, I had so much fear and scarcity though about the result of it, and nothing would ever really formulate. So I'd reach out to 20 people a day, sometimes for like a week. I just send them out like mass emails, and then, but there was no energy behind that. So I just want to share one. Number two, like, I have two areas that are creative director, to connect with ad agencies, and then as a director to connect with production houses
Yeah.
and also ad agencies. So the fear will pop up, like, I've spent years chasing,
Yeah.
and the energy of chasing those jobs. So when I came to marketing, I was really walking into those situations. I need this job, so like
Yeah.
hire me in desperation. So marketing always felt a little like, well, I thought that's what I've sent out 100 resumes on LinkedIn, you know,
Yeah.
and got zero responses.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that kind of marketing, right? I'm a fan of like an actual interpersonal connection. So if you have their number, you DM them and say, "Hey, man, how's it going?" And they say, "Hey," and you go, "What have you been up to?" And they say, and you go, "You got time for a quick call?" You know what I mean? And then, boom, and then you're actually calling and talking to them. So yeah, just look at your situation because it's unique because you're working on this. And what day are you at in
Oh,
terms?
almost day. I want to say that it's probably like day 45, which kind of
Yeah,
isn't.
so you're halfway through. So I can see a world in which, it's it's hard. Part of me wants to say like, you know, tough it out and just don't add anything else. Like maintain the purity because the next 45 days is going to happen soon enough. So that part of me is that, and then part of me goes, okay, as long as you don't do anything to threaten the one that you have, like you have to keep the habit that you're building now as the top priority, right? We've kept marketing calls kind of optional, right? But I could see where it's like you can do one mild marketing call kind of a day where you kind of commit to it like that. I could see a world where that feels kind of good just to say like, okay, I'm showing up, right? Because once we get into marketing full swing, and for you, like when we started, on that beginning, it would be a pretty quick ramp up to where you're doing 3 and, you've got your full pitch and you're really going after it. Like, so when we start to do the marketing, it's going to be like, let's go. It's not going to be like, baby steps as much, you know? So, but I could see that. So play with that, and we can talk about it, together, you and I,
Sure.
to fine tune that and see, like, because again, and I just want you guys to remember, we can come up with a plan here and other people can be helpful, but you really want to take this back and you really want to check in with your highest self and your two-way prayer and see, does that feel right? Does that feel right? If I had a conversation, I thought it felt right, and I brought it back and it doesn't, can I go back and have another conversation and just keep working until I really get to, this feels good in my body. This feels like a right path, right? That's so important in everything we do. Because it's like, I'm not the final word. It's like your inner wisdom is the final word, and especially now as we're doing these more external things, right? Before we talked a lot about uncovering those blocks, which is still going to be a big part of this work, because what's the point of doing all this work if we still got 3 feet on the brake, right? We still want to take the foot off the brake. So let's just work for you, Raj, and coming up with something that feels appropriate and good for right now. Even if it's like, what feels good to me right now is like half a marketing action. Like, what is that? But that feels light enough to where you go, okay, I'm prioritizing the other thing. What's half a marketing action? It's like I text a guy I know, et cetera, whatever, and I think that's where it should start. Okay, I know this guy, maybe he's even because he's even like a colleague, someone at your same level. Most jobs are 90% of jobs are gotten by someone who knows somebody. So that's really important, right? We're talking about doing all this thing where you're reaching out to people, maybe even strangers at sometimes, but you're not necessarily trying to get a job from them, because that's usually not where jobs come from. But think about it, and I guess I should have put that in this thing, but think about it as you are putting your energy out into the world, and you're creating a bigger sign of your energy, and more people can see it. And so it's not going to come, it almost never comes from your direct marketing, but you make 3 marketing calls and somebody calls you up and says, dude, I totally need a director. That's usually how it happens.
Well, you
From
want to
somewhere
just a
else.
fun. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just a quick success story already is even in doing the consistency, I booked a ton of like those production day jobs last week. I booked 3 last week.
Right.
And then Thursday night, that ad agency that I worked at, Evan, the president of the agency is just hired me for a 3-day freelance creative director job.
Right.
So like, and I mean, it's so easy work, as you were sharing. I
Yeah.
can do the job in 3 days, but I'm sorry, 3 hours, but it's really like they pay you by the day.
And
So
think about it from this standpoint. The way I look at that is like, look, you're still under construction, right? You're still doing all this incredible building work of building this incredible foundation. In 45 days, we're going to go hog wild on this marketing, right? And just think about Natasha. She was doing 10 marketing actions a day. It's an inevitability. There's an inevitability about this. So you don't need to rush it out of fear if it's never going to happen.
okay, then can I just say well, not the last thing, but just to
Yeah.
share, that will be, and thank you for saying that. That is what has also popped up. Like, hey, shouldn't I be like a little fear? Like, I want to get like it's the beginning of the year. I don't want to wait till the summer to get a job, and like I want to start,
So check in with your higher
shooting.
power. Check in with your higher power,
Okay,
because maybe there's a little slow ramp up to that we do. Okay. So
great.
just start working with that. Yeah. Okay. Who's next? Don't be shy. Step right up. Okay, Wendy, you convinced me. Go ahead. I have no patience for sitting around waiting for people to decide if they want to talk now. So now let's go.
Okay. Uh, where do I?
Because you're all going, so.
All right, all right. I just have been feeling so overwhelmed by so many different things.
Hmm.
But let's see. Okay, so I sort of feel like my marketing is a little bifurcated because I've been taking
It
some
helps you to a writer.
What's that?
When you use words like bifurcated, it's pretty
Oh.
obvious you're a writer.
All right, two-pronged.
Yes, I got it.
Are you happy now?
No, that's fine. I'm just not very smart.
I'm just joking. Anyway, so yeah, so on the one hand, I've been working at getting this would be a B job that I probably will like, because I have some background in it. It's about sober coaching and mental health coaching. Very extremely lucrative. And it's also involves some travel, and I just can feel myself longing to get the hell out of here and go on adventures. And if I've got, if I'm getting paid well, I can do more of those. So,
Yeah.
so that's that. And I've already hit some success with that.
Good.
I've so much, I've gone so far as to fill out a W-2 form with this
Great.
organization.
And you know what I would love, Wendy, personally? I would love it if you would post that success on the thing and let everybody know so everybody can sort of celebrate that.
Okay. Yeah, that was last week. It was before we had the thing.
Who
So
cares? We have, but we haven't had a chance to really celebrate it. So let's
Okay.
celebrate it. And I just want to pause you right there because I'm actually a big fan of bifurcated marketing. I'm a big fan of a two-pronged or three-pronged attack. So there is a point at where if you have marketing actions, this is for you too, Raj. You have marketing actions and you want to take all three of your marketing actions that day toward a specific target. But that's fine. I'm equally a fan of splitting them up and hedging your bets. In other words, divesting your, diversifying your portfolio. So you can do, let's say you're doing 3 marketing actions. You can do one for today. I'm trying to get work today, tomorrow, to sort of pay the bills. And then one for tomorrow, right? So that's over the next couple of months. What can I do? So the sober coaching falls into that category. It probably falls into the first 2. And then you have the bigger
Well,
ticket.
I was going to say, yeah, when I was talking about the bifurcated is one was the B job and, working on making money because I really need to make
Yes.
money. But
Yeah.
then the other one is my writing.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
And the third one would be the writing. That's the big future you're living into, right? So when you have these 2, I'm making money today, but I'm building for tomorrow. That's great. You want that split because you're covering your bases. So I'm a big fan of that when it comes to marketing. And another way of thinking about it too is like I put it out there and I let God show me what I need to focus on and what comes back, right? So same thing for you, Raj. You have sort of 2 main buckets. Great. One marketing action for this one marketing action for that one. Once you get into, you know what I mean? So that's actually really good. And I suggest that for all of you. I really do, is like, don't get so niche or in one thing and get so like focused. It's spread it out, open yourself to the possibilities that are out there, and let's see what comes back. Okay, carry on, Wendy.
well, so just 2 things. So one is just if somebody had mentioned that I would be going after a job like that with that level of pay a couple of months ago, I would have been like, what? It's really a miracle of the DA program because I connected with somebody who suggested it for me and it was like, oh, okay, never thought about that. And maybe it's more like 3 months ago. And then it has just kind of blossomed. So that's pretty amazing.
But you've
with-
also been doing a lot of work on yourself in this area for the last month or so. Where you're
Yes,
now opening up to more possibilities and stuff. And so
that's
there was
true.
a post this morning, somebody was talking about, I have this level of education, etc. And it's like, as far as I'm concerned, that has nothing to do with it. 0 to do with it. It has much more to do with how open I am to myself, to letting my talents and skills come out. I'll just give you a quick story. My son, who's 28 now, he's having trouble finding meaningful employment. He did get a job as a drum teacher. He's a very good drummer. That's his passion. But he said this to me, and I was just like, it's hard to believe it's my son, right? Because I'm like Mr. DA dude. But he's like, yeah, just the previous generation just kind of ruined the economy, so it's really hard to get work right now. And I was just like, I mean, I had some of my best years in 2008 and 2009 when the economy collapsed. It's like, I mean, there is a very real thing as your own personal economy. It's like, so it doesn't really have to do with these things as much as it has to do with really our deserving and where our thermostat is set. So I think you're raising your thermostat and opening up to more possibilities, which I think is great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just about it. I mean, I think I just, with the writing, with sending out the query letters, there's a danger of having it turn into rote, you know?
Sure.
It's like, so I'm conscious of that. And there is also a reality I'm discovering how some of the agents are asking for things I don't have yet, like a certain type of synopsis one of them is asking for, send us the back cover of the book and what it would say. So I have to do these things, you know.
Sure,
As
that's right.
that's, I guess those are marketing actions, is that I have.
I would say, I would say, I would count those as marketing actions. So,
Yeah.
you know, it almost seems like a sort of creating your marketing plan here, if I were to sort of do it, is like, you've got this sober coaching, which could bring some money in and give you space to do this other stuff, right? Because it's not this all the time thing and it pays well, right? So it gives you some flexibility in your schedule. So I could see a marketing action on that a day kind of thing, you know, where there's all sorts of places to reach out to. There's all, you know what I mean? There's, if you really investigate that sort of thing, and then there's the, you know, one daily action of whether it's you write the query letter. And the thing is I would automate that query letter as much as you can. And then
Mhm.
because you're a writer, then you would come in and give it a personal touch and tweak in the edit.
Yeah,
So-
I've done that.
Yeah,
That part
good.
I've done. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, because we, again, and we don't want you to feel overwhelmed. The key is, are you consistently moving forward? You know
Right.
what I mean? And so I'd say, you know, workshop that plan and put your plan on there and post it. Then everybody can look at it. And especially I can see it. I can look at it and I can go, okay, that sounds like that might, you know, and maybe with yours, especially, how much time are you putting into, you know, writing that synopsis, or how much time does it take to do the query letter? Does that make sense? So that we
Mhm.
could, so that you're managing your time, so that you're not trying to do too much, because your marketing actions are different than other people's marketing actions. Somebody else can just pick up the phone and call somebody, and it's challenging emotionally, but it doesn't take that much time.
Are you wanting us, and I don't want to take up any more of other people's times, but just, I think this is a question for everybody, which is, how are we, or will you get to this at the end? Like what does our plan look like? Is it a daily plan, a weekly plan, or do you have a certain format that you're going to?
No, I don't think there's a specific format. Everybody's just going to come up with their own one. And I think you just post it, and then we can kind of solidify it on there, you know?
Okay.
You know, if you were to say 5 days a week, I am kind of a fan of a little bit every day. You know, so if there are days where you can't reach out to people, those are good days on Saturday and Sunday, maybe, to do writing the back cover or whatever it is. But so that you don't, because once you skip a day, it's very easy to go, well, I can take this day off too. But if you never skip a day, and that's not a being mean to yourself, right? It's understanding the power of that momentum.
Do we
So,
get to count this as a marketing activity?
oh, I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't think so. Yeah, you do? All right. Sounds good. Yeah. Okay. Well, everybody agrees. So I'm outvoted. Okay. Thank you, Odelia, for volunteering next. It's very courageous of you.
Sure, what the heck?
I'm knocked over by your boldness.
It's the orange. So let's see. Actually, that quote that you put, what was the last part of it? Do what you
It
can.
was.
It's dangerous for a person like me because, I mean, there's no end to how much you can do. I kind
I
of
think
like,
what it means is start with doing as little as you can. You know what I mean? It's like do what you can do, not more than you can do.
I can do a lot and I can push and push and push and push.
Well,
And
you
I
can,
keep thinking of
can.
more ideas. I
Yeah,
can make
you
myself
can,
crazy.
but not consistently, because you'll collapse.
Right. So exactly. I tend to get overwhelmed and then paralyzed. So I like the 3 marketing actions and then go to the beach. I like those guidelines.
I'm dead
Um,
serious about that. Not that you have to go to the beach, but you can go to the cafe, or you can, you know what I mean? You
For
can
me, it's
go
probably
to the
better to go to the
sauna,
beach.
whatever you want to do, and
Yeah.
enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah, that sounds really nice actually, because I feel overwhelmed with all the things that I have to do. Just in general in life, and that's never a good place to be because that just stops me from doing things. Although,
Right, but
being in
understand, you know, because that's a whole ism by itself, you know. How many hours a week were you working in your job before?
40 hours at least.
40 hours. You just got 40 hours a week more, right? For the time being, right? But there's
Right.
still a feeling of overwhelm. You know what I mean? So the overwhelm is its own ism. It's
For
not,
sure.
it's not a real thing, right? So,
For
um,
sure.
yeah. So we want you to stay out of overwhelm. Whatever you do in this time, we want you to stay out of overwhelm. But it's part of that seeing through that it's just this cloud that you keep yourself in to protect yourself from something, right? It's not a real thing. It's you just don't have that much to do. You know, it's the classic thing of, oh my God, I'm busy. I can't get anything done. And then you get sick and you're out for 10 days and somehow everything still got done. You know, you take 10 days off and still it happens. It's happened to everybody. I'm slammed to the wall. I can't breathe, but then I can take 10 days off and somehow the world doesn't end. Right. So it's pretty much an illusion. And it's also a comfort zone.
I believe you.
Yeah. And so for you, like I mean, we heard why you're overwhelmed because you feel like you have so much to do. You don't have anything to do. You see, did you see the
Except I
reaction?
do have
Did
to
you see the
find a
reaction?
job.
Did you see the that's perfect, it's precious. Because look, you're a person of God, right?
Try.
Here's a practice I'd love for you to get into, right? And this is really for all of you. You do your two-way prayer in the morning, and you say, God, what 3 things do you want me to get done today? And you get the 3 things, and that's it. Everything else is optional. If you don't get it done, it does not matter. That goes in line with take your 3 marketing actions and go to the beach. If you're really doing what's important, it doesn't matter if you don't do the other stuff. I say that to people who do not have jobs. Do 3 marketing actions and go to the beach. I don't say do 3 marketing actions and then hustle and do more. No, go to the beach, relax, because you've done what you need to do. That's the opposite of overwhelm. Overwhelm is, I have 40 things to do and I can't. No. What are the 3 things you're supposed to do today? And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you do those 3 things, you're a success. Great.
Yeah. That's it. Part I'm going to work on.
Right. And for you, you probably want one of those things to be a marketing action. And we want to decide for you what that is. What is that marketing action? Is it just reaching out and calling a friend and catching up? And when they say, hey, how are you? You say, well, you know, I'm looking for a new opportunity. You want to start to craft that, how you answer that sentence. You know,
Yeah, but
I'm
of
looking
course they're
for a
going to ask me, what are you looking for? And there I'm stumped.
Right. Well, and that's on Friday, we're going to have a class that focuses on that, right? But in the meantime, I want you to work this week beforehand, because if you work this week on the answer to that question, by the time you get to that class on Friday, you're going to end up having a great answer. If you put it off till Friday, then you're going to spend much of next week trying to really have a great answer. Does that make sense? So you want to start thinking about and working on what is the answer to that question. What do you want to do? Well, I want to work with people, or I want to work alone. I want to work in an office. I want to work at home. You see what I'm saying? You want to just start like, what do you want? I want to work outside. I want to work indoors. I want to work at high altitudes. I want to jump out of planes for, you know, what
Like
is
a
it?
Dr. Seuss book. Right.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? Start thinking about what it is that you actually do like and how you would prefer. I already, from knowing you, you want something where it's more of a deep dive, more thoughtful. So that's an answer to the question. I want to do something that's more meaningful and more thoughtful and not high paced, right? I mean, that's already half the answer, isn't it? Because that's going to like cut out 50% of jobs. You see what I'm saying? So just starting to have an answer for that question starts to put you in that bucket. And then if you work on that this week and if you post about it and get feedback from others, and you know, you say, how does this sound? How does this sound? Then by the time you get there on Friday and we really start talking about what are your visions, what are your ideals, what are your dreams, you're already 30% of the way there. And then by Friday, by Sunday, you've got something in the next week. Now, when you're talking to people, you have a real answer. And eventually that's going to lead to each of you having kind of your own personal brand. Right. And then in your little sort of things up there, you're going to write it. It's just like, you know, like Angie's might be, it's like, you know, somebody who should have been a CEO 10 years ago. I'm looking for my chance, you know, at a corporate takeover. You know, I mean, if you guys don't know us that well, my sister and I, but my sister is so much more organized and efficient and on top of things than I am. If you want something done, do not give it to me, give it to her. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's part of your personal brand. Like, if somebody hired you, they're going to get somebody who's going to get stuff done. That's invaluable in the workplace. It's just invaluable to have. Most people, you know what? Most people suck at their jobs. Most people are it's so weird. Most people are a C minus, which I'll never understand. But they really are. You go and you go to a restaurant and somebody waits on you, and a lot of the time it's like it's just really subpar. You know, it just really is. So you guys have the chance to sort of own this world because you're in the top half easy of people who are going to be great employees or business owners or whatever it is. So start working that out, Delia. Start working on, and I think, you know, I think you've already shown that you can post. So I wouldn't say that that's necessarily your thing, but I think for you, a good starting point would be just reaching out to people in your life. Make that list of 10 people and just call them. And then when they say, you know, what are you doing? It's like, well, I'm looking for a job that's kind of like this. And boom, that's marketing. Somebody has now heard and they're thinking in the back of their head, oh gosh, I wonder if I know somebody. You see, now you have people out there working for you. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, again, I mean, I hesitate to do that only because I would like to be clear about what I want first
Oh,
before. Okay,
no.
okay,
The
okay.
clarity will come.
Do it.
Clarity will come. Just start doing. And every
Okay.
day you do it, you're going to refine and you're going to answer that question better. Because I don't care if you and I polish a crafted sentence for 2 weeks. The fact that you haven't said it over the last 2 weeks, you're going to stumble over the words. You're not going to. Doing this requires you to be out there and saying it. And just the saying it, you're going to say it in a way one day where you're going to surprise yourself and go, oh, that sounds good. I'm going to say that again. Right.
Okay.
So get started now. Do not wait.
Okay.
That's part of your plan but make it easy. Right. Get started, but make it easy. It's not this high pressure thing. And it's certainly nothing to add to that sense of overwhelm. It's maybe one of your 3 things that you do in a day. It is important. Right. Okay, Angie, and then
Thank you.
Shayna.
Okay. I don't know exactly where to start.
Corporate takeover.
Thank you for that compliment.
You're welcome.
What did I want to say?
I forget.
I wanted to say that this is the most difficult workshop for me.
Okay.
I have such an easy time in all the other workshops because I'm not afraid to get on here and say that I am perfectly imperfect. I have drank before, I have smoked before, I have done all these things. I'm imperfect. That doesn't give me anxiety, but it gives me anxiety to do marketing. And I was sitting here thinking, like, why? It reminds me of when I was a leader in the church for 15 years, and we knocked on strangers' doors, like whatchamacallit, what's the name of that religion? Anyway, with our Bibles, and would try to get people to go to church. That's what it reminds me of. And I think that's why it gives me anxiety. I have made efforts, but I find myself preferring to do what we are called to do in some of the other workshops. Like I 100% am consistent with my meditation. I'm 100% been 100% with my food. I've been 95% with my exercise. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And I like what you said to Adelia, because I too am not sure what I want to do. So I like that, to just still take the action, even if you don't know what you want to do. And I like what Wendy shared about coaching, because you know what came back to me earlier this morning when I was talking to my friend and we did a meditation. And what came to me right now is when I was 18 years old, what I wanted to do when I started waitressing, what I wanted to do is to be a counselor for girls who had eating disorders. I went through 5 different eating disorders. as a result of having the father that I had. And that has come to me right now through this. And so I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah. Yeah. Bravo. So yeah, it's, what do I want to say? I like your glasses, by the way. Very cute.
Thank
Uh,
you. Dollar Tree.
Oh, really? Um, yeah. So for those of you who don't know what it is they want to do, we have a workshop coming, and it's like, but it's going to be like the power of purpose or finding your purpose. And I want the people who do know what they want to do to come just as much, right? Because we all have to meet in that middle of what's this truth here in the center. But so what we're gonna do for you, I think, is we're going to get you to a thing that looks something like, let's say, I'm a leader, helping and encouraging others, right? So it's this broad thing, but it's also very you. And that could apply to lots of different situations. So you don't need to know the specifics because you know the general, the macro, the stand back. You want to be in this position of helping others, let's say. That's what we want to help you dial in on and get that, because you don't need, it doesn't have to be a specific thing. It doesn't have to be necessarily through counseling. It could show up in any different way, and you're open to that. And so it's funny because you were talking about education as being a limiting factor. I think what you said is the fact that you're so afraid of this is more the limiting factor more than anything, is that you're afraid to sort of put yourself out there in a way and say, hey, this is who I am and this is what I want. Right? Because I think once you start doing that, you're going to see, I promise you, this is to some degree, this is what I do for a living. Yes. I know value when I see it. I know what value people have. And you would bring tremendous value to practically any organization you're a part of, Ange, just for sure. You know what I mean? And so you're like me. It's not a thing that you and I both gravitated to, this waiting tables and all of that stuff. It's like we both did that. And it's just like, there's so much more to you than that. You know what I mean? And that's, it's like, luckily you have a shoe in, is that I'm your brother, right? So I'm here to help you sort through all that crap and get to where you need to go. Okay. So good. All right. Shana Bobena.
Way to go, everybody. Good job, everybody. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I got a lot from all the things that you've said, in response to everybody else. When I was thinking about like the marketing or whatever, it's just this feeling was coming up, and it's this one word, I feel like I'm floundering. I always feel like I'm floundering. And maybe it's because there's like a bunch of different directions that I think I could go. And then I get held back because it's like, I feel like I don't know enough about the things that I want to be like supposedly helping people with. And like one of my big blocks is like always a student, never the teacher. Like that's how I feel. That's who I feel like I am. But I love what you're saying. You're saying open yourself up to the possibilities, spread yourself out, and then start thinking about what I want. Like, do I want to work outside, inside, not the weekends, those things. And then to just take action, not get caught up wondering, what am I supposed to be doing? Clarity will come. Just keep doing, get started, make it easy. And this is not about adding to the overwhelm. So I get way up here in my head, and then I'm just like, boom, boom,
No,
boom.
I can hear it. Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the, I say this sometimes, and it could come off harsh, and I sort of never mean it to, but it's like what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to be doing. It's like, it's not really any of your business.
Okay.
Right. Because most of that comes from the ego anyway. And it's like, we don't want that to be driven by the ego. And so there has to be this healthy letting go and sort of being open to what the universe wants from us. Because I will tell you, the universe giving you that clear sign and going in this direction is ultimately going to feel better than anything else, including directing. It's just, you know what I mean? That's just how it is. Because directing is not always a fun job. You know what I mean? It depends on the situation. But you being in alignment with yourself and your truest self, that is what you want, right? And so you want to be in a situation where that's being put. So that's why I think you know, I don't remember exactly your whole thing, and that'd probably be a good thing for you to post that again so we can kind of all
Yeah.
look at it,
Yeah.
right? And see, because it almost seemed like there were kind of three things,
Yeah.
right? And so if you're doing three marketing actions, and I think you might be in a place where you want to be doing three marketing actions. I kind of get that sense for you. You know, if you need to start smaller than that, okay, that's fine.
Right.
But if it's three very simple marketing actions and each one of these is a prong, if it's trifurcated, I don't think trifurcated is actually a word, but it is now, right? But if you have these three directions that you can go, these three vectors, then because I did that for a long time, it's just like, you know, it's like put it out in the world and let's see what God brings back.
Right.
That's a not only a legitimate way, but it's a really good way because you're not married to it. And the other thing about that is it makes your ability to be happy under more circumstances greater, which is what you want. You want to be able to be happy under more and more and more circumstances. Like for me, I'm happy now whether I have money or whether I don't have money. Right? It's just not as critical for me, right? And it's like I'm now happy, you know, when my son is depressed or when he's happy. You see what I'm saying? It's like I'm expanding my range. And the funny thing is, it doesn't make me a less effective father to be okay when he's a mess. It actually makes me a much less effective father to be to be all freaked out when he's freaked out because he needs somebody who can be solid, right? And if there are financial ebbs, which there almost always are, there's ups and downs. Like I think I was telling you guys about some financial fear that came up for me because I had an investment that didn't pan out the way that I expected. And when I looked underneath it, it was like, oh, this is actually about, I'm so happy these days that it's like I'm afraid. It's like I'm not supposed to be this happy. So there's going to be ups and downs on all this, but our ability to be happy under more and more circumstances, whether it's too hot or too cold, you know what I mean? Whether the right people, I'm hanging out with the right people, the wrong people, doesn't really matter. I just get easier and easier. And so for you to open yourself up to what does the universe want for me? And you know, I love that this opportunity is coming up because either it'll be something cool will come out of it, or it'll be a chance for you to say, no, this isn't good enough for me. I deserve more than this, which is great. You saying that to the universe, you're going to see, just like Odelia had a similar situation. And she was empowered by saying, you know what? No, this is not enough for me. She realized that she had more value. And this is the point of it for all of us, to realize our value. And because then when you realize your value, you know, it's like for me, the journey that I'm on right now is like, I'm just doing less and less and less in my life. And doing less that's not me. I'm just doing more me, you know? Like when I sit down with Raj and we do coaching, it's just like, I'm just being me. That's it. You know, just being me. And that's enough. That's enough. That's a very powerful thing, being me. And for so many years, it was like, I'm not enough and I'm not worthy. And it's like, that's not true. It's just not true. And the same is true for all of you. There's no difference between you and me. You guys are all these powerful, incredible, wonderful souls and spirits that have your unique gifts to give. Right? I got to put that somewhere in the language. Everybody giving their gifts, because that really is kind of at the heart of it. You guys all have incredible gifts, and a lot of them aren't even the practical gifts. Like for example, Raj will light up a room that he walks into with his joyousness. You know what I mean? Like that's a gift, and especially if you're working on set with Raj, to have a director that has that kind of energy instead of Michael Bay throwing things at people, that's a gift. Yeah. So, okay. Any final questions? Well, I think that went well. Okay, so I think you know I think it's good. So Angie, you had a question?
It's not a question. Can I share two things real quick or not? I could put them on the school
Sure.
if you want.
No, it's fine.
Great. In starting to talk about this stuff, my boss talked to me about starting a business together. And which I was really excited, but upon considering it, it would be something that would be working weekends and nights.
Oh.
And so I, was excited at first, but then I'm like, no, I don't want to work nights and weekends. So that's something I got to say no to. And then the other thing I wanted to share is that
Can I just ask you a question, just to interject in there real quick? Did you do it through like did you do any prayer and meditation on it? Did you sit with it at all for a moment?
yeah,
You did, and
yes,
it just fell off. Okay, great.
yes.
Because I think it's so important, because again, our egos will react to something, because you never know like what could happen. Like, you know, your higher power, your deepest wisdom might have you say yes to that, even though it's night and weekends, and then the whole thing flips. And then, it's, you know what I mean? You just don't know what's going to happen next. So you can't just trust your likes and dislikes. I want you to be very, very um, suspicious of your own likes and dislikes, and you want to run it by your deeper wisdom,
Because of the ego.
because the
Yeah.
ego will shut down things that are actually legitimate opportunities, because they don't look good enough, and the ego has decided this isn't right. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
And the other thing I wanted to say is, there are a lot of things I like about my job.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm like, I'll get to work and I'm working and have a good day and I'll be torn, like, well, why should I look for another job? But I realize at my age that in a couple of years, I can't probably physically do it. So I do need to be doing this workshop and doing this work. And as I've shared before, I have some issues with my body. And Dolores Cannon says, you're not supposed to be sick. You're sick because you are not doing what you are supposed to be doing.
Amen, sister.
And so it's very profound. So that's another reason why I feel that I
Absolutely.
should be doing
Listen,
this.
that has been a great career for you for a long time, and I'm pretty convinced that it's time for you to move on to the next aspect and chapter of your life, and to step into your power. You know, and so that's going to require you to let go of that at some point. Regardless of what you like, there's going to be something else that you like about the other stuff, and find out what you like about that and bring that on Friday, and we'll see if we can't mix that into what your ask is of the universe. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I had a quick question, Evan.
Yes, sir.
What would be your advice or guidance on, as fears pop up, let's say in a given day, or limiting beliefs pop up, whatever, I guess it's fears behind that anyway. You know, what have you done, or is it like, do you do a fear inventory, or do you just do the action? I'm just curious.
Is it like with a specific thing?
I would say it's like, okay, for example, I have a couple of commercials that I creative directed. I didn't direct them, and I haven't posted them on Instagram for over a year. And they have celebrities in the spots, and I'm like, oh, the fear is, if I post them, well, I don't have anything else to post after those three. So even as I say this out loud, it's kind of hilarious. But like, and then I won't post them, and then I almost like hold on to them to like put myself out there. Is that, yeah?
On a practical level, I'd post one, and then wait, and then you don't have
Yeah,
now you
once a
have
week.
two
Yeah,
more. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So from that standpoint, but yeah, again, I would sort of go, okay, here's the fear. The fear is false evidence appearing real. What am I afraid of? Get clear about what I'm afraid of, and then I would sort of sit with that. I would sort of bring consciousness to that part and understand why that part is afraid. Almost for sure, it's afraid that it's going to be judged as not being good enough, and then it's going to be people aren't going to hire me, and so I'm going to be left alone, abandoned, etc. So in that neighborhood, so to sort of get down to realize that the fear has nothing to do with these commercials at all. It has to do with whatever that fear of being abandoned is. It might be, again, after the trip, getting the news, that whole thing, right? And so you've got a terrified child in there that's so afraid. You see how there's no like lightness and play with it. It's like, if I don't get this right, I am screwed,
Right,
and so then I don't do it, right?
right.
So a kid will naturally play, and a kid who's in a healthy environment won't care if they screw up, right? But this child that's in you is, I absolutely 100% have to get this right, so I'm frozen and I can't do anything. And so I would say the way that I would handle that is I'd start to be with that part, and I'd start to name it, and I'd put it on the chart, as we do, and I'd start to look at that, and and that's how I would handle it. And then I would also get into two-way prayer, and I would say, is this an action I should take? Do you want me to do this? Yes. Do you want me to do it today? Do you want to do it Friday? You know what I mean? And get clear so that the actions and what you're doing is separate, right? And God directed from the fear. So the fear has nothing to do with whether you do it or not. And you walk through the fear separately, right? So that because otherwise it's like letting the 2-year-old drive the car. It's like, it's like, here's the wheel, you go ahead. You tell us where the car is going. It's like, I don't know. That's scary. Okay, we got to wrap this up so it doesn't get too long.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Thank you.
Okay, so you guys hit the boards. Everybody who's in this should, within, I'd say sometime today, just rough out a plan and put it up and go, here's what I'm thinking. Does this sound sane to y'all? Something like that. And then there's another thread in there that has to do with like, what was your biggest takeaway from today? So if you want to post in that, you can post in that. But again, and then for some of you, posting on the boards might be scary enough where that's a good marketing action because you're marketing with us. When you're telling us, like some of us have no idea what you're doing. And so we can't even help you. In this group, we can't even help you. So by telling us, oh, I'm looking for work, as a airline pilot, we go, oh, okay. Then we can help you. So even inside of our group, it's still connecting and marketing, right? I just want you to keep thinking about that. Anybody you tell about what's going on with you, that's actually marketing. So lowering the bar and making it easier. Okay, great job, everybody. Thank you.
Thank
I'll see
you.
you all soon.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
Thanks,
All right.
Evan. Thanks, y'all.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Bye.
Dude,
Bye.
so rad. Thank you. Awesome.